You stay outside and shoot the ball. That's what you do. And Shula the same way. You don't dribble the ball. You get the ball, you make one move, and you pass it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Don't try to dribble past anybody.
But you admit he's been pretty solid.
He has. Maybe he listened to the podcast and heard me talk about Wally Zerback. He's like, I don't want to be like Wally Zerback. If he knows what Wally Zerback is.
Honestly, I barely even knew who Wally Zerback was.
Oh, well, because you're not a Minnesota sports fan. We know who Wally Zerback is. Dave and I and our buddy Johnny and Nels, we used to go to bad Wolves games back in the day, and we used to watch shit competition, let me tell you. There was a guy by the name of Stojko Vrankovic, who was a center. Stojko was a center, and there was one game, I will not forget this game ever. He was inbounding the ball. Before he inbounded the ball, he stepped out, his foot out onto the court, and then stepped it back and tried to pass it. Like, no, that's a turnover. I was like, how can you do that? It's the stupidest shit ever. I mean, how does that work? I mean, what is you play basketball professionally for a living, you know?
Yeah, that's something you learn pretty early on in life.
And I will say on this podcast, so 50 people can hear this, Dave and I started the Shane Heel Shoot It at the Target Center. So back in the bad days of the Timberwolves, we'd be down by like 20 points in the fourth quarter, and they bring in Shane Heel, who was an Australian guard who was known for shooting three-pointers.
Sure.
So he'd bring the ball up, and after he got past half court, Dave and I would start yelling, shoot it, just because just shoot a three. And then so the whole stadium started doing it. So then after a couple games, everybody in the stadium was doing the exact same thing we were doing. Johnny doesn't believe it. Johnny Drewski does not believe that me and Dave started it. We started that. Dave, we started that whole thing, didn't we?
We did.
We started that.
We did. That's a pretty deep reference. I don't know how many of your listeners are going to recognize
Probably not a lot.
Heel,
Probably not a lot. But we did start that.
We started
for
the record.
I'm very proud of that fact.
I've been to a total of maybe 6 Timberwolves games. And all of them came
during the Garnett era?
Pre-2000.
So you were there like pre-Garnett, or you were there during the Garnett era then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only reason I came to them was because I got to see Jordan.
Yep.
I got to see Shaq and Hardaway. I got to see Ewing and Johnson, the like of the Knicks. That's the only reason. I always went to the games for whoever they were playing.
The first game I ever went to of the Timberwolves was in their it was their first season at Target Center. And I got to see Reggie Miller play.
Oh, nice.
And from then on, I was a Timberwolves fan. I mean, I was like, I love basketball. I mean, I could watch basketball all the time. Nowadays, it's kind of, I don't know. I can't watch the Timberwolves. I couldn't watch Timberwolves this year. I was just so disappointed in some of their play. But
I was trying to get into the Timberwolves this year.
Yeah.
I figured, I'll never be a Vikings fan.
Well, if you're a Packers fan.
And I grew up watching the Twins because I was closer to Minnesota.
Yeah.
I was still a Brewers fan, still am a Brewers fan, but they're in a different league now, so it's easier to
There's
be
that,
a fan of both.
The crappy thing about the whole Brewers switching leagues is the fact that the Twins' rivalry with them is kind of like not as bad as it was back in the 80s. Yeah. I mean, Tom, you know, the Twins and Brewers back in the 80s was a huge rivalry. Huge rivalry.
You know, and speaking of which, the Minnesota United game, Minnesota United Twins game, is the 20th, right? 21st?
Yes. 21st, I think.
Okay. That weekend is the Brewers series.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think it's Saturday night. They're giving out free T-shirts. It's a Border Battle T-shirt.
Well, I know that
super classic.
The Twins game, the United Twins game. If you get the special ticket, you get a scarf.
Yeah,
which is a Twins / United, which is a cool scarf to get.
Yeah,
and which reminds me, I think we have to talk about that game because I think
that's Saturday the 19th.
I think so.
That's Johnny's engagement party.
Oh, for Pete's sakes.
That's right.
Son of a bee sting.
The United game is Monday.
Oh, is it?
It's the 21st.
Yeah. Oh, 21st. It's a Monday? Good.
So I can't go to the Saturday game for the Brewers.
You can't because Johnny's got his engagement party.
Damn it. I haven't RSVP'd.
You were invited, huh?
Yes.
Oh, where?
Yeah. Oh. I have not RSVP'd.
We haven't RSVP'd.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah.
That's actually,
we're all
reminds me, actually. That
we're all going to go. Johnny, our friend Johnny, got engaged a couple months ago. Getting married to
someone way better than he is.
Yeah, she's very much better than he is. Let me tell you, he outkicked his coverage on this one. I'll tell you that much. And if he wants to come on this podcast and chew me out for that, he can. He's been offered the chance numerous times.
Yeah.
And he just never shows up because he's got lacrosse and stuff.
Yeah, he comes up with the most boring excuses.
He does. And he lives in South St. Paul now. So, I mean, it's like not that much far. He used to live in Rosemont. But now it's closer, so he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I'm not going to chide him anymore for not coming, but I'm telling him he needs to come on this podcast so we can talk about Germany.
Right. He likes Germany. We've already
he's half German.
that.
That's the deal. He'll always love Germany. That's the way it works. So guess what? And so, Dave, we have the World Cup coming up this year.
Yes.
And guess who's not in it? The United States is not in it.
Nope.
Italy's not in it. My team, Italy's not in it. Germany is. So guess what? This summer, I'm going to be hearing about how good Germany is all flipping summer.
Yeah. I was thinking of picking somebody in their group to cheer for.
You should.
But I think they're in the same group as Mexico, aren't they?
Are they?
And I can't cheer for Mexico.
No, Dave?
Nothing against Mexicans.
Stevens used to cheer for Mexico. Who was that goalie you loved?
Before I was a USA fan.
Who was that goalie you loved? Who was it? Campos? Campos, yeah. He loved that Campos kid. I can't cheer for anybody other than the United States or Italy. That's just the deal. I just can't do it.
Netherlands. Oh, they're not in it either.
They're not in it.
Yeah, they're not in it.
If Finland was in it, yeah, Finland would be great because I'm also Finnish. They're not in it. Norway, they're not in it. We can't even do that.
I have Swiss heritage, so that's my team this
There
year.
you go.
They haven't been in it in years.
But I think we talked about this on a podcast earlier. Do you still think that viewership will be up or down in the United States because they're not in it?
Yeah, I don't think it'll change.
You don't think so?
No.
I get this feeling they're going to be down this year.
I mean,
in the United States.
if it's down, it's just because of the scheduling.
Well, Tom's not watching it.
Well, for the World Cup the last time, I worked part-time at a golf course.
Yeah.
And whenever I was there, the U.S. game was on. Mm-hmm. It was on. It wasn't the U.S. game.
It was off. Yeah. So maybe, might have lower viewership this time because the U.S. is on. I mean,
It might be.
I don't know. Who do you think is going to win this year? I mean, Germany?
I was just going to say, might as well just say Germany.
Well, you think Germany's going to win?
No, because they'd repeat, right?
Yeah.
Who else is going to win?
Well, I don't know.
It would be a repeat. Who's repeat? How many times has the World Cup been repeated?
I don't know. We have to look that
I mean,
up.
like
it's
back to back. Sorry,
You can look it up, but I mean, it's the thing is, I don't want Germany to win because of the fact they're tied with Italy for World Cup titles.
I'd like to see Germany not make it out of the group.
That's
Wouldn't
not-
that be a shock?
Well,
I mean, I don't personally. I mean, I have some German heritage too. I don't have anything against the Germans.
yeah.
Post or pre 1938, but I don't. It would be a shock to have a team like Germany not even get out of the group.
It'd make for an interesting storyline.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if Brazil finished third in the group?
That'd be an interesting storyline too. I mean, what do you got? You have so this year you got Brazil, Germany. Who else?
England.
England,
Yeah, I mean, everybody major in
France.
Europe aside from Netherlands and Italy.
Portugal.
Yeah, and Russia will be there obviously.
Russia will be
because
there
they're
obviously,
default.
but Russia's going to get their asses kicked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is. They don't play good soccer in Russia.
One thing's for certain, since the U.S. isn't in it,
Yeah.
I haven't paid that close attention to.
No, and I don't
Who's
think,
in it?
like I said, I don't think a lot of people in the United States have.
Yeah.
Because they're not in it. It's not coming up on ESPN. Nobody gives a shit.
It's true. The coverage has been a lot.
The coverage has been terrible.
or lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To round out that list, it would be Spain, France, and Argentina.
Okay.
As
All
the
right.
top 5 favorites.
Okay. All right. So Spain, France, Argentina. Okay.
I can see Belgium winning it. On paper, they're a phenomenal team. On paper.
Yeah, but the World Cup is such a crapshoot, though. I mean, it's like you gotta get out of your round there. You gotta get out of the first the pod or whatever it's called, the group. Yeah, the group. You get out of that, and then it's pretty much single elimination. I mean, anything can happen. It's kind of like the NCAA tournament in basketball. Anything can happen, and we've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm excited to cheer for Switzerland because I mean they haven't been in it for a while. Sure. They don't have any. Well, I shouldn't say they don't have any big names, but
Yeah.
their roster's not super
So
popular players.
after this one, we got 4 years, and we're in. Where are we playing in 4 years? It's
Qatar.
Qatar, which is going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, Qatar is going to be a terrible thing.
And that's the Winter World Cup
So
because they've rescheduled.
that's right. So Dave Stevens handed us the odds, Bovada odds. Germany and Brazil are the favorites. Spain is next. France, Argentina, Belgium, England, Portugal, Uruguay, Croatia, Colombia, Russia. Russia's going off at plus 4,000. I mean, that's not bad. Switzerland is at.
See?
Look at that.
Plus
Switzerland.
10,000.
Plus 10. Put some money on that shit then. I don't know how Russia's so far up, though. I don't get that. Russia's.
It's the whole country. Yeah,
but
because even
still.
South Africa did pretty well in South Africa.
Yeah, but well, I guess there is some concerns about Russian, how they're going to deal with the.
Well, yeah, half of England's fans aren't even allowed because they've
Exactly.
got that political row over poisoning.
The fact that we're playing a World Cup in Russia,
Yeah.
and then Qatar after this, it's like, come on, really?
Are all
Yeah.
the athletes going to be checked for doping?
Well, they should be. The Russians are dope.
Yeah.
Not all the Russians dope. I'm sorry, not all of them do.
Yes, let's clarify that.
Yeah, you never
When
know.
we say that, we don't mean generally.
Putin could be listening to this podcast tomorrow. I want to say all the Russians can dope. Okay.
That's true. If I put Russia
Yeah.
in the description, in the tagline, guaranteed
He could listen
the
to it.
Kremlin's going to be listening to it.
He could call us up. He'd want to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
Russians do not dope. Yes, well, I watched Rocky IV. Okay, that Russian doped.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he doped.
I never really thought about that.
In the training montage, they show the needles going into him. He doped up.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't test the guy.
Well, it was the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
The
but he should have
CCCP.
tested him. They should have tested him. They tested everybody else, but it wasn't a real boxing match though. It was an exhibition.
Yeah, right.
So they wouldn't test him anyways. But he was doped up.
That was a good movie.
It was a great movie. Yeah, the soundtrack from that movie was fantastic too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can never get enough of Eye of the Tiger.
dude, that was when I ran cross country. That was our song, "Eye of the Tiger." You know, played every time we ran, man. Good times. God, do we have any more soccer stuff to talk about?
I don't think so. I
think we're
We've
good,
actually
man.
done a really good job.
Yeah, we have.
One thing, I thought this was interesting. That same article of with McGuire, they mentioned how somebody walked past him on the aisle and he shook his head, and he made a comment of how, look, soccer is 45-minute halves. You would think people could concentrate and just stay in their seat. I loved it because I was with a friend and his daughter, and I can't think of how old his daughter is, so I'm not even going to give a guess. I should know this because we've been friends since high school. But it was funny because he spent like maybe 30 minutes
Yeah,
in his seat because his daughter wanted to get up and walk around.
sure.
And so then I read that article and I was like, that's funny because that's probably exactly what he's talking about. I mean, I have no problem sitting in my seat for 45
No,
minutes.
and the thing is, like, so whenever we've gone to a game, we drink beforehand. We at least get a beer or two before the game starts. And then around halftime, we'll grab another beer. And then we're pretty much in our seats for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works. 45-minute halves is nothing compared to NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB. I mean, that's nothing. My wife is funny because she always asks me, like, you watching the game? And I'm like, well, it's 90-minute game. She's like, so you're going to be done in 90 minutes? I was like, well, probably it's going to be 2 hours. This is what it's going to be, pregame and postgame, whatever. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, Every time else you go to other games, this could be 2 hours, it could be 3